Well, it's Monday, and yesterday was the last day of a local show, which I love doing this show because I don't have to travel for it. But the bad thing is, at the end of the show, there were rainstorms coming through, and our entire tent got wet. And it really sucks because if your tent gets wet, then there are a whole bunch of things that you have to do after the show that you wouldn't have to do otherwise. And so I want to show you this. Come check this out. We're going to walk through my house here and we're going to go out to my garage. Well, but first, say hi to Mr. Samadhi. He was happy that I didn't have to travel away for the art fair, but he still really needs lots of attention. So this is one of the things that you will have to do if you do art fairs and you have pets, is give them extra attention when you get home because they miss you a lot. And you will likely have a mess of things in your house after the show, especially if you have back-to-back weekend shows, which is what I have going on right now. I had a show last weekend, and then I have another show that I have to set up for on Friday. And so my storage room is down in the basement, and we're not going to carry all this stuff up and down. It just doesn't make sense. So in between back-to-back shows, my dining room becomes my storage area, and it pairs as a cat fort cat bed with cute little kitty cats. I don't know if you guys could hear him meow, but Panda Bear is quite the talker. Yeah, I know, you're a good boy. All right, well, now we're gonna head out to the garage because this was the main point of the video. All that was kind of a tangent, but a cute one. All right, so as you can see, I've got things piled up around here. I've got more out on our back porch and in the backyard, which we're gonna see in a minute. But we have not a lot of space to dry things out. And when it rains, everything gets wet. So we had to have this tarp to cover up my art, to hand truck it back to the van while it was raining, because all those boxes that you saw in my dining room, they would have gotten soaked and damaged all the work inside. And so I had to have this because the event wouldn't let us pull up with our vehicles because there were just too many artists. They wouldn't let you pull up and unload your art into your van and then take down your tent and stuff. You had to hand truck your stuff out to your vehicles. And then once you got everything set down, then they would let you drive your vehicle in. And this is actually pretty common for art fairs. But anyway, because of that, so you have to have extra tarps. And then all of these are things that are parts to my tent. So this is my clear door wall that I use on the front and sides of my booth. And this is the top of my tent. It's really big. This is a 10 by 10. So you have to really stretch this out because if you notice, there's lots of pieces in here. There's Velcro and stuff, and all of this gets wet, right? And if you don't dry it, it will grow mold and it will be black and gross. I mean, I know this from personal experience because I messed up my clear door walls in the past. I did another video on this. I'll link it at the end if you want to see that. But in that video, I showed you just all the damage and stuff because I forgot to dry them out. And so what happens, I don't know if you can see any of it on these readily accessible areas. I think it's more down inside of here. But the thing is that it gets nasty black marks on it. And it's just unsightly. And with the amount of money that a person spends on these walls from Flourish, you do not want to get them damaged. But you also have to know that if you are setting up just a pop-up tent or anything like that, you're going to need to dry it out because it's going to grow mold as well. And so this is something that we do. We will move one of the cars out of the garage and set up as much stuff as we can in the garage because oftentimes, especially where I live in Kansas, if there's rain at a show, it might be raining the next day, and that's what it's doing here. We're having some sprinkling outside, and so some of the stuff is getting wet again as we're trying to dry it. But you can see I have a lot of things out here. So here's another one of my clear door walls. These are my opaque side walls that I use on the side and the back of my booth that aren't entry areas. And then here are my awnings. So basically there's a lot of things to dry out. Now, if you only have a pop-up tent, you might have a few less walls and attachments, and they might not have like super thick zippered areas like these do, because these take extra time to dry. But either way, you got to dry it all out. I mean, you can see there's literally like water on this because it was just sprinkling out here, and it all won't fit in the garage. But so we have to let it get rained on again a little bit sometimes. And it's just kind of part of it. The lighting is kind of dark in my garage, so I'm not sure if you can see this, but you see these little black marks here? They're along the white area. This is mold having grown in between the layers of my very expensive clear door wall. And this is why you want to dry it out so this doesn't happen. All of the extra work because of the rain doesn't get me down though, because honestly, I had such a great time at the art fair. I sold several original paintings, which always makes me happy. I sold lots of prints, of course, like I always do. And overall, my sales were really good. They were only down $100 from the previous year. The previous year, I made around $5,200 at this show. And this year I made $5,100. And since I didn't have to travel, I didn't have to pay for hotel or gas or pet sitting. And most importantly, I didn't have to leave my cats. And so that's worth a lot. And so even though I didn't make the amount that I make at some of the shows I do, like the big $10,000 shows, still, I love doing shows in the town where I live because yeah, it's just so much easier and it's worth it even if I don't make quite as much. And feeling so tired after doing all of this stuff, which I'm sure you can see that I look tired because I sure feel it. I've been running on like 5 hours of sleep at night throughout the whole weekend, but it's worth it because yeah, I get to be here at home at night with my cats. And I love being able to sell my work and experience other people experiencing my work in person and the joy that it brings to their faces. After the shows, I also have a lot of things to do that don't have to do with tearing down the booth and drying everything out. Like a lot of times I will get special orders like this one and I'm going to deliver it to a person here in town later on today. And then I'm packing orders and getting ready to stretch more canvases for the next show next weekend. I have my assistants coming on Wednesday to help me do all sorts of print bagging and wiring canvases, just everything that I need to do to keep these shows going. So it's a whole lot of work. But there's a part of me that just thrives on it. I know some of you oftentimes see my videos where I talk about negative things about art fairs, and the hard work is super negative. I mean, it's like really the biggest negative, I think. I mean, that and dealing with difficult customers. Still, personally, I thrive on that hard work. It makes me feel like I'm doing something that's worthwhile in my life. And it gives me energy in ways that might not be physical, because yeah, I'm like running low on sleep, but it gives me energy spiritually. And when I get to see people, like the joy on their faces when they see my work for the first time, or like a little kid, when they come into my booth and the grin that just envelops their whole being, and then they end up buying a piece of my work like an art print, or somebody who never bought an original painting before and they buy my work as the first part of their collection. That is just so amazing and fulfilling. And this is what keeps me coming back to doing art fairs, despite all the negative things. And as promised earlier, if you want to watch that other video that I made showing all the damage and everything, how I deal with rainy art fairs, you can watch it here. All right, thank you so much for watching. See you next time.